What is going on, everyone? Welcome into another edition of the Valkyrie podcast. I'm your host, Angel of Battle 07, and today we have a very special guest, one of my, if not best friends, Mr. Mazards himself. Maz, what's going on, buddy?
How are we doing, AOB? What's going on with you, baby?
Nothing much, just another Friday, you know. Had a chance. I'm just glad that I get a chance to sit down and kind of have a conversation with you so that the community can get to know you a little bit better. I'm sure most of them know you already, but I love having these like one-on-one sessions where I get to sit down, talk to the person, really get to know them and give them a platform that they may not have had already. Like, I know a lot of our community may not be able to bounce back between all of the content creator streams and stuff like that. So this gives them another look to kind of see you as not just content creator, but, you know, Mazards himself instead of
Maz is like the, you know, behind the scenes kind of thing.
Exactly. Before we get too far, though, I do want to thank our partners and our sponsors over at Gamer Subs. Right now, they just dropped their new Waifu Cup Season 3. Also, being it Friday, they just dropped Kaho's Guilty Pleasure as well, which is, I believe it's a black tea and I want to say passion fruit flavor.
Yep.
So if you guys want to go check out some of that, the artwork on it is amazing, by the way. The same artist that worked on Bleach actually did the artwork for this one as well. So if you guys want to go check that out, use code Valkyrie on checkout to get 10% off of your entire order. But just like last week's episode, we're not here to talk about gamer stuff. We're here to get to know you. So if you're ready, I got some questions coming your way. And obviously one of the biggest ones as far as being a streamer and a content creator and everything like that, and I'm sure you're probably blue in the face of answering this question. What is your biggest motivation for streaming? Like, where in your journey did it finally kick in for you to be like, this is what I want to do, and why do you continue to do it?
I think the biggest thing for me was when I did my very first 24-hour charity for St. Jude, which is a charity that I'm very, you know, very near and dear to my heart. When I first did it, I think I set a goal for like $500. I think it was my goal. I was like, you know, that sounds like a good goal. You know, I'll be like my very first ever charity stream, my very first 24-hour stream. I was like, let's just knock it out, see how we do, you know. And, you know, with the community that we raised, I think we hit like 500 within the first like 6 hours. And then we just kept going on and on and on. And it just to see that we were able to pull together so many great people to raise money for a great charity and help out a family in need. As soon as we hit that, and when I actually ended my stream that day, like it hit me. I was like, man, like that felt so great. Like I wonder if I can keep doing it for, you know, for the rest of my life. And I was like, you know what, this is definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to help as many people as I possibly can doing what I enjoy doing, which is meeting people and playing video games. So I figured this is going to be what I want to do for the rest of my life.
What I guess the other question I should ask with that is like, where or what caused you to finally sit down and be like, hey, let me try streaming out? For like, what made you create the account, go live, and everything like that? I guess that's the biggest thing.
So for that, so I went to school to be an educator, and like I want to say like maybe 2-3 months after I graduated, sure enough, COVID kicked in, and I didn't know what to do with my time because my work was closed. You know, I couldn't find a job, so for a good like 8-9 solid months, I was sitting at home and I had absolutely nothing to do. I didn't know what to do, but I think I found a lot of solace like watching like my favorite streamers, you know, just getting to like, you know, see them, watching them have fun, meeting new people every day. And I was like, you know, I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy meeting new people. Maybe I could try it out and see how it goes. And obviously at the time I didn't have a PC because my previous one crashed like that same like the year before it crashed, so I had like no PC for like an entire year. But I was lucky enough to get a few parts ordered in like right before the whole COVID crash, where, you know, obviously I'm sure you remember where parts were like skyrocketing in prices.
Unfortunately.
Right. So I was able to luckily enough get a decent PC build started, and I'm like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it works out, then I'll keep going. But I gotta give it a shot, and I've loved it ever since, man. Almost 3 years into it, I still love it.
Gotcha. Now, for people in our communities, they know our origin, but I don't think a lot of the Valkyrie community may know kind of where we got our start. And I'll let you tell the story since you're the guest here. I'm gonna let you tell the story and how we met and everything like that, and then I might chime in on maybe some memories that I remember it differently. I'll let you tell the story there. Go first.
All right, so this was like when like Modern Warfare was like really big. You know what I mean? Like the more recent Modern Warfare was really big. And my good buddy Dan and I, we loved playing 2v2 gunfight. We loved it. That's literally all we played. We never played team deathmatch. We only played like 2v2 gunfights because it was so much fun for us. So obviously being new to like Twitch, everyone has TTV in their clan tags. So I remember seeing, Angel of Battle 07 TTV, and I'm like, huh, all right, like I wonder if he actually is a streamer. So I was like, you streaming? He's like, yeah. I'm like, me too. I'm like, all right. So we play a couple rounds, and then I was like, let me see if I can like, sweeten this pie a little bit. Cause I'm getting a little interested in this dude because he was cracked. I'll admit, him and his buddy were very cracked. So I was like, hey, yo, how about we make this game interesting? He's like, what do you have in mind? I'm like, how about whoever loses has to follow the winner? And I love AOB's response because it was like he didn't even miss a beat. He goes, I got a better proposition. I'm like, all right, what's your proposition? He's like, how about the loser subs to the winner? I'm like, yo, damn, we gotta win this fight, dude. We gotta win, dude. He's like, why? I'm like, we got a sub on the line. He's like, all right, bet, let's go. Let's lock it in. We got stomped. From what I remember, we got stomped. Like, I think it was like what, 3v, like 3-6 or 4-6. We got destroyed though. But it was probably the funniest thing and probably one of the funniest matches I've ever been in because we, AOB was such a good sport about it. We were both laughing. We were both just like, we had a great time playing. And I remember just going over to his channel. I'm like, yeah, I lost to this dude. Like, you know what? Screw it. He deserves my sub. I pull out my credit card. I just go for it. I'm like, all right, man, here's your sub. Like, I appreciate you. I'm pretty sure I dropped you a follow right afterwards. I'm like, hey, man, like, enjoy the games. Like, appreciate you. Like, hope to see you again soon. And that's how I remember it.
Yep. You know what? That's about how I remember it too as well. And for those of you that are wondering, I did reciprocate the sub back as well after watching this content because I mean, Maz it's hard not to like you. You could try like your hardest not to like you, and you'd still find a way to like it somehow win people over. So. So I gave him a sub back as well like that, and then here we are almost 3 years later. I think actually both of us have like 33-month streaks now.
Yeah,
we can actually trace it back to that month that we did. And since then, I mean, you and I have had a chance to meet in real life as well.
Twice.
Yep, you and the missus came down to my neck of the woods for a little bit, so you got to meet me and Tricky. And then in May, I got to come down there for the Nerd Street Valorant LAN. Got to stay at the Maz fam house. Got to meet the family as well. It was an awesome experience. Had a blast. Thank you again for having me, man. It's been a wild ride, man. And when I tell people like you're one of my best friends, I mean it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Maz and I, we continue to talk back and forth. Offline as well. Whenever we have a problem, we're always there in each other's DMs. We may have some dirty Snapchats too, but wait a minute. Although we can't tell Nippy. Nippy can't find out about that one.
Maybe he finds out he's gonna be jealous. I'm gonna hear it for the next couple of days, man. What you doing, AOB?
Yeah, we're gonna have Zach edit this part out. Zach, just no.
Zach, you got that? All right, cool.
Oh my goodness! Now you always didn't have the incredible background that you have there. Some of us remember your humble beginnings in the closet. Do you kind of want to go or like from the original setup to what you have now, all the hard work that you put in? Because I remember seeing the photos over time and you guys setting the room up, painting it, getting ready and everything like that. What was that process like, and how excited were you once you saw the final product?
Honestly, man, with the amount of time I spent, I mean, it took me like what, 3-4 months, maybe. I would say about three months for sure to build what we've got here right now. And just as I was slowly like building it up, once we got the all the stuff that was in here originally, after we like stripped everything out, put new trim in, started painting, and once the floors were put in, like once we put the vinyl floors in, it was at that point I took a step back and I'm like, all right, this actually might work. And then when we got the desk in here, the 16-foot long desk, as soon as that was put into place, I was like, this is gonna be the new Maz Fam like recording / streaming studio, and I'm so hyped for it, especially like you said, from where I started off in the closet, no pun intended. But I did start off in a very, very tiny closet. It was probably about like maybe like 6.5 foot wide by like maybe 4.5 foot like long. It was a very small room, and very small. I mean, like you can literally get up, take 2 steps, and you'd be out into the actual bedroom. But once I was able to finally get this place down here, like actually in the works, it was just hard to believe when I go back to my old clips, all my old VODs or old like pictures. It's just I'm still shocked to see like how far myself and the Maz fam have come to get to where I'm at. It's still a shock to this very day, man.
And we've seen some wild moments come out of your charity streams as well. If I remember that first one correctly, I'm pretty sure there was some waxing involved, some makeup and everything.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm pretty sure there's a picture somewhere floating around there. Zach, I don't know if maybe in post production, if you're seeing this, could we put picture, like right here somewhere? Can we get a picture?
Somewhere.
For those of you watching on YouTube, anyway, if you're on Spotify just listening, I'm sorry, but you'll have to go check out the YouTube video to see that. But anyway, some wild moments, man. Not to mention, the nacho cheese, all the different waxings, the spicy challenges you've done as well. Please walk me through the one chip challenge. What were you think? Like in your head, what were you thinking? And then obviously, maybe a couple days after, how did you cope?
So I will say this: when I first said I would do the one chip, I'm like, you know what? I don't think it'll be that bad because I've had spicy food all my life, and I've had the blazing wings at Buffalo Wild Wings. I've tried ghost peppers before. I'm like, okay, it probably won't be that bad, But when you eat spice so often, that's what you think. You know what I mean? It's like when you give like a Hispanic person like a pepper, they're like, oh, this is nothing. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So for me, being raised in an Albanian family, we eat spicy food all the time. So I didn't think it would affect me as much as it did. So I just remember I got ready, and I had a glove on. I was like ready to pull this thing out, and I told my community, being the crazy guy that you know me as, I was like, you know what? I'll put a big old smiley face and ghost pepper hot sauce on it too, just for added effect. Why not? And so I took it out of the wrapper, and it snapped in half. I was like, ah, crap. So I'm like holding it together, like trying to like piece it together like Picasso. I put the sauce in there. I'm like, all right, guys, like 3, 2, 1. The second I crunched it, I did it all in one bite, like just one go. The second I crunched it, I literally felt my throat sink down to my stomach. I was like, oh no. Like everything just went white for me. I was like, oh, I'm already feeling it. I didn't even take my second crunch yet. I'm already feeling it. I'm like, whatever. So I chew it really fast, and I'm thinking like, if I just swallow it real quick, it'll be fine. I won't feel a thing. That's a lie. that was a big lie to myself. Swallowed it, and I was like, okay, like first minute, I was like, all right, I'm starting to feel a little heat. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, my whole face went red. I felt a tingling from my shoulders down. I just felt tingling. My hands started shaking. It was probably the funniest experience I've ever had in my entire life. Let me tell you, man, I've never experienced something like that in my entire life. And I just remember, like, not even me just wanting to, but like just drool. Like I couldn't stop my mouth from it was just constantly drooling. No matter what I did, I would start talking, my mouth would fill with so much like saliva. I'd be like, okay, let's keep going. Like 5 minutes and 32 seconds. That was the longest I lasted. I couldn't do any more than that.
Well, glad to see that you are unharmed. Maybe physically you're unharmed, but emotionally and spiritually there's a little scarring there as well. So
never again.
And then the nacho cheese one. That's probably my favorite. Just for those of you that may not have been there, I can't remember what the goal. I think it was at the end. You guys hit the goal, and literally you just see Maz sitting in this like kiddie pool, no shirt on. He's got like a towel ready to go, and in comes the Maz fam, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I imagine like maybe like I don't know what I was thinking was coming as far as like cheese and everything, because he was like, yeah, I'm gonna have him put cheese on me, and then I see them come in with these like industrial size tubs of cheese, and they just take turns one after another pouring it on him, and I'm like, no way. And then of course Maz like gets up, and he's got it like his hair slicked back, and he starts trying to, he does this immediately, like trying to hug people, and I'm like, oh no. Please tell me that was a pretty easy cleanup thanks to the pool.
You know what? We had the pool, but thankfully enough, my father actually had like these like red, white, and blue like table covers from when we used to host our 4th of July parties a lot. So we had like, these like real big. They were like, you know, like 6x7, like, you know, size, like circular like table covers. So I literally had like one at each corner, like to like have them all meet together like a Venn diagram, and I put the pool right in the middle of all of it. So no matter where I stepped, it was gonna be like clean no matter what. So
got you. Good. We would hate to meet Mama Maz angry with getting that floor dirty.
Should have been like, hey, that's your problem now. You can clean that up. I'm out. She would just leave. Like, no, that's your cheese, not mine.
So obviously, you know, being in the gaming space as a gaming content creator and everything, gaming has probably been a huge part of your life. I don't know how big. I guess you can tell us how big gaming's been. But growing up, one, were you interested in games all your life? And then two, growing up, what was your favorite game growing up? Or games, I should say.
So my father got me a Super Nintendo, like I want to say maybe a year after they were released, because obviously they were so big you couldn't really get your hands on them. So he actually managed to get me one of those, and I don't know if you remember like the original like Super Mario.
Yep.
Like that was my game. That's all I ever played was Mario. Like from dusk till dawn, that's all I ever played. Until I turned 7. You know, my father got me my first N64.
Yes.
And, you know, obviously being a big Mario lover, he got me the Mario game with it. And just ever since I was, 5, 6 years old, man, I've been a gamer almost 24 years now, man. I've never not enjoyed playing a video game. Having like a controller in my hand was like the best feeling in the world for me. Every time I got a chance to play, I played for as long as I could until my parents were like, all right, you got to go outside now. It's like, no! It's like, no, you're going outside. Fine. Go outside. I'll play basketball for half an hour, come right back home for 6 more hours playing Mario, you know?
Don't make me touch grass.
It burns.
Speaking of original NES, that coaster back there in the background, I remember that. If you want to show one of those off.
We do have a few of them, but yes, we do have a few.
Yes, dude. Now, see, that's one of my favorite original games is Donkey Kong.
Yes,
I remember the arcade. If I ever get to a point where I can have money to spend, I'm getting a Donkey Kong arcade machine and I'm putting it in my house.
Big ones, right?
Like an actual arcade cabinet. Yes.
Oh, absolutely, dude. 100%.
So was it Mario 64 or was it like Mario Kart 64 or like which?
It was Mario 64.
Yeah. I think that was a lot of people's favorite kind of growing up.
Oh my god, yeah.
Between like GoldenEye, Donkey Kong 64 was pretty fun. Well, that was a lot of ours like first introduction to multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
And that's where the trash talk began, really, honestly. No.
You're staring at my screen. No, screw you, lit liquor. What?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you've gamed along the way, kind of growing up and everything like that.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about the games that you grew up with. We'll pivot into what are some of your current favorite games to play as well.
As of right now, man, I mean, for the longest time, but before Call of Duty got really sweaty, it was Call of Duty and Warzone. But right now, man, I've been picking up Valorant again, and I'm loving it, man. I can't put the game down. Like I that's weird as it says, as it sounds. I've been like thinking about Valorant. I'll go to work. And I'll be thinking like from like the VOD before, like the night before on stream. I was like, man, you know what? I could have easily aced that. I should have went left instead of right. What was I thinking? Like that's all I'm thinking now is how to improve myself in Valorant. Now that's literally all I do now is Valorant.
Gotcha. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and do kind of like a listed session. I want to hear. We'll do a couple of them. So first off, I want to see top 5 agents from Valorant. Let's do that.
Top 5 in no order, of course. For me would be Reyna, Sage, probably Raze, Omen, and I would rather have a Breach than a Brim. So yeah.
So you're saying Breach over Brim?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm surprised you didn't say Yoru. Used to being a Yoru main.
I love Yoru, but just with the way his layout is for me right now, I feel like there's too much for him to do now
Hmm.
than with the previous version that I played with, where like, I mean, being able to throw your stuns and stuff like that and your flashes when you're in your ult is great and all. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like half the time it's like by the time you throw your blind, by the time you try to get out of your ult, your gun doesn't come up fast enough for you to be able to react. That's why a lot of people when they're in their ult and try to flash you, you can kind of see where the flash is coming from, so you can kind of like already estimate where that person's going to be when you're able to flick back. So for me, it's nice to have, but at the same time, it's too much for me to be able to handle.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I respect it. I hate that you slighted my boy Chamber, but that's all right. We can talk about that off stream. Okay. So, what are your favorite maps? I guess it was top 3 maps. Let's do in order, just to make it hard on you.
In order?
In order,
man.
including the brand new one, Pearl. R.I.P. Split,
Pearl.
by the way.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, man. Split was one of my favorites, man. If we count Split, it would be Haven, Split, and then Breeze.
So no Pearl at all. You know.
Pearl's okay, but my only problem with Pearl is like there's just too many halls.
Mhm.
Like you can say, oh, hall here, or, you know, he's in art hall or this hall. It's like there's just so many halls and so many nooks and crannies to sit in. It's like you're essentially playing either. It's almost like playing Rainbow Six Siege to me. It's like that's not what I'm trying to play. If I want to play Siege, I'll play Siege because you can hide in every nook and cranny you want. This is not the kind of game for that. For me, at least. I don't know.
All the Counter-Strike fans are just absolutely mauling and screaming in
There's
chat
like,
right now.
How dare you? It's like, call me out on it. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's a skill-based map out there. I can hear it now, man. I hear Big and Tall Matt in my ear telling me just how like skill-based it is. So trust me.
He's
I
probably
love
thinking
it.
like, get him off the show. Get him off the show. He's gone.
I love it, man. Ever since it came out, like obviously the day one, you're like, oh, this is stupid, but that's just because it's the learning curve. But as you start playing it, it really is like to appease all the fans out there. It really is a map that makes you focus more. You can't go out and pug anymore. You can't just go out and overrun somebody and just outshoot them. You have to outthink them as well. With the atrium kind of in the middle there and those 4 branches branching off, you have to really be smart about where you're placing your utility, your people, and stuff like that as well. I mean, obviously, you have to still win gunfights, but really a strong lurker on that map really changes the game as far as I'm concerned. If you've got someone that can really take over the middle and then pick people off while you're getting to sight, it makes things a whole lot easier.
That sounds like a master chamber job. Do you know any good chambers there, AOB?
I might know a gold 3 chamber just promoted, by the way.
Oh, okay, okay.
But you know, I've been putting in work for like months too.
Oh, I know, man. I know, and it's shown, dude. Like watching you like just progress, it shows how much you've gained in skill, man. It's insane.
Although last night, I wanted to throw my chair through the window. I was so done with it. But
we don't talk about last night. That didn't exist, you know.
Angel Rage, there's no such thing. All right, so we've talked about some favorite games growing up, current favorite games and stuff like that. What would you like to see in the future? Like, where would you like to see the gaming industry move towards in the future? And you can be as kind of like outlandish as you want to be. Like, I want to see a perfect dystopian Maz future when it comes to gaming.
I mean, realistically, man, I miss like the fun generic like story-based games. I'm sure you remember like Ratchet and Clank, like Jack and Dexter, Sly Cooper. Like I miss those kind of games more than anything in the world. Like I even right now I'm actually replaying some of the old Ratchet and Clank games that I got from a friend of mine. I'm replaying all of them. It's the simplicity of games is what I miss. And I feel like a lot of manufacturers and gaming developers, I feel like they're trying to one up what they did last time by adding like the biggest and baddest things ever. And while I sympathize with that and I appreciate that, but I think the best thing about some games is just the simplicity of a game. Just to turn your mind off and just have fun rather than have to sweat or be like uber competitive like all the time. You know what I mean? That's what I miss. But on the offhand too, with obviously as of course being a caster, esports has just been blown up, tremendously. Where even like I've even been at restaurants where they play like they have like TVs like in the bar area, and they'll even have one TV that plays esports games, and I'm just like, there's no way, like
I was called a nerd for this in school.
Yes, we finally rise. But at the same time, I do enjoy obviously competitive gaming too, like that. But I just wish that some gaming manufacturers would bring back just simplicity in gaming once in a while too. Like just create like one fun like little story game, or maybe a game you can kind of co-op with a friend or stuff like that, and just again turn your brain off and just have fun a little bit, not to worry about anything. No titles, no ranks, just have fun.
I got you. So kind of taking a step back, going more towards like the casual gamer roots. Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. I think a lot of these days, too many kids are like centered around the idea of competing. I've got to be number one.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And it is kind of a missing out of what the experience that you and I kind of grew up with the Mario games, of just playing the game for the fun of it and not necessarily to compete and everything like that. Yeah, I agree. I miss that as well. So I agree. We briefly kind of touched on some of your charity work as well, and I know you take a lot of pride in that as well with the St. Jude. What is that? Like a little poster there on the left or on the PC? No, well, that one too, but no, the one on the desk. Yeah. And then the Wounded Warrior chair behind you as well. You've done some incredible things for St. Jude Wounded Warrior Project as well. And I know we talked earlier about your motivation being charity and stuff like that, but what has been your reaction as far as like to the different streams that you've had, or your community coming out and showing up big time, the interactions you've had with St. Jude and Wounded Warrior and stuff like that?
I mean, honestly, man, it's something that's so hard to put into words, because you think of like, when you think of doing a charity work, you don't expect to get anything in return. Like, I don't want people to thank me for what I'm doing. It's because I'm doing it because I want to help. I shouldn't be thanked for just helping out a cause, you know what I'm saying? But like when we complete every like St. Jude's charity, or this past year when we did Wounded Warriors, like to have the people that like run the Tiltify thing and actually run the St. Jude or the Wounded Warrior Tiltify thing, like to have them like reach out, like personally, like reach out to me, like to DM me or message me in some way, like, hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for your efforts. How you been? Do you have any ideas for your next stream? Like for them to actually like sit and actually want to talk to me, like to me that's what blows my mind. The fact that they really appreciate me so much, that they want me to continue, and they're willing to help in any way they can to help me continue on doing that. And that's it's a great feeling, but it's also a feeling that it's so hard to put into words, because like, how do you respond to an organization reaching out to you to ask you, hey, what can we do to make your next 24-hour stream like even that much better? It's like I don't know. Yeah. Like I don't even know. So
I got you. And during your Wounded Warrior stream, I'll never forget this moment, man. Wounded Warrior actually showed up. I think it was like a huge raid as well that came in. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure they donated themselves. Like it was like a big, like $2,000 donation or something like that, wasn't it?
So it was Wounded Warrior, they donated, and then so at the time, because it was like during December, Tiltify was doing their Claws My Claws event. So basically what they do is they pick like 31 streamers, like partner streamers, and they'll ask them like each individually, like, hey, like, pick like X amount of like causes that you really like, and whatever you donate will double it. So we had I'm part of an amazing charity organization called SideQuest, who is actually being handled by Jambo, a really amazing human being. She's done thousands of dollars in charity work. We got to talk to her a little bit, and she actually got her community come in and kind of like hype me up. I know she donated like $700 herself, and then Tiltify like rectified that with another like $1,500 on top of that. And then I think I honestly think shortly after that was when Wounded Warrior came in with a raid, and they donated like $500. It was just like it was just amazing. Like in the first 45 minutes of that stream, man, like everything blew up so exponentially. It was just I again, like you were there. You
Yep.
saw my face. Just jaw to the floor, didn't know what to say, tears running down my face, mascara running. Wait, no, not mascara. Right, different charity, different charity.
And then you had to like continue going too. Like that's the thing. Like like you said, it was within the first hour, and then you got a whole another 23 to go. And I mean, that energy level is so much higher whenever your goal gets hit and everything like that. I was so happy for you, man, just to watch that happening, watching the community give back to an amazing organization. It was really fun.
Absolutely, man. It was crazy to see how many, especially how many active and inactive and veterans, military members came in and just not only just donated, but just to hang out and just kind of like watch to see what was going on, and just to really enjoy seeing, like someone's actually making the effort to help out our soldiers, that are in desperate need. So, but the amount of people I met through that, amazing individuals, and I know I still talk to a lot of them, and a lot of them are either active right now, or they're on leave right now. But like just being able to talk to these people and hang out with them and game with them, it's a completely different experience when you hear what they've gone through, man. It's mind-boggling, honestly.
Yeah. And it's something that I think I may be the only person that kind of realized this, but I think you're coming up on your anniversary with Valkyrie as well.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, because I was like October and you were a few months before that. I think you're probably coming up on your year anniversary.
I am.
Well, allow me to personally say happy anniversary as far as being a member of the organization. And that brings a great kind of transferring moment or point here is, obviously you're a content creator for Valkyrie. How did that all begin? Who reached out to who? What made you decide to say yes and be a member of the content creation team? And what are some things that you've enjoyed while you've been here as well?
So I think it's been almost a year now, so bear with me. But I believe it was Austin, or if you guys know him, his name is Nate. Amazing human being.
Just for him.
Amazing guy. He followed me one day, and I was like, "Hey, Boston, thanks so much for the follow. I hope you're having a great day." I was just kind of like, I was just trying to get to like know him, but I don't think he really said much. He kind of like, "Hey, what's going on?" And like that was like all I remember him saying. He didn't really speak much, and I was like, "Okay, maybe he just followed and left, whatever the case may be." I didn't want to like push anything, so I was like, "All right." And then I want to say maybe like either shortly that day or the next day, I got followed by Genesis, which is Zach. And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for the follow. Hope you're having a great day. Just what I usually do." And he didn't really say much either, so I was kind of like, okay, like, you usually when a follower comes in, usually they're like, "Hey, what's going on? How are you?" They try to interact with you. And these two didn't really say much at first. So I was like, okay. And then I think like after a while of Zach watching me, he was like, "Hey man, like, how are you?" Like he finally started talking. I was like, "Oh, great." Like, "Hey man, I'm doing well. How are you?" We started vibing a little bit. And then he was like, "Can I like DM you later about something?" I was like, "Okay, sure." I'm like, not unheard of, because I've done that with a few people before. And he was like, "Hey man, like I really like your vibe. You seem like a really cool person. I run an esports like content team, and I would love to have you part of it. I was wondering if I could just sit down with you for a few minutes and just chat with you about it." And I was like, okay. I'm like, at first I was a little skeptical. I was like, some esports content team is reaching out to me all of a sudden, and like they picked me of all the people, and I'm like, you know what? I'll humor this guy. I'll humor him for a little bit, just because you don't know what's real or fake. I'm like, yeah, why not? I'll talk to you, sure.
Right.
So sure enough, we start talking, we start vibing a little bit, and he's showing me all these things for Valkyries, and I'm like, all right, so this might be an initial thing. I'm like, all right, hold on, let me be professional. I'm like, oh yeah, so so I really appreciate that. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm trying to be like professionals all out right now, because I'm like, I don't want to miss out on this chance right now, because if this can really like get me landed on a content team, that would be amazing right now. And I just remember just like being so excited, and he's like, "I'd love to have you meet some people on the team." I think that's where I actually got into a call with him, like either that week or the next week. I got into a call with him and Mitch.
Mhm.
Kind of talked to them a little bit, and they're like, I remember Zach's like, I hope you say yes. Like, please say yes. I'm like, of course I'm gonna say yes, absolutely. And they're like, yeah, all right, let's go. We just got so hyped. We talked for like probably a good solid almost hour. And like I said, man, it was a pleasure to meet, these amazing people. And when I signed on, it was probably one of the coolest things ever because I've never been part of something before. I never thought in my wildest dreams that a content team would actually reach out to me. Like, I figured it was like I had to reach out to them. You know what I mean? So to have them reach out to me and just kind of getting to meet some amazing people, it's just been a wild ride, but it's been a great ride too, though. I can't complain.
Yeah. As a streamer and a content creator, that milestone of like an org reaching out, it kind of puts things in perspective because we always kind of consider ourselves small streamer.
Of course.
No one's watching me. I have my core group and my foundation, people that have been watching for like OG viewers and stuff, but it's kind of harder to step away from an outside perspective, looking and be like, well, actually, you're averaging 5 to 10 viewers. That's more than like 80% of the site who are sitting around 2 or 3 or maybe struggling to get affiliate and everything. So to take a moment, step back and have that milestone hit, it really puts things in perspectives and make you kind of humble yourself a little bit in a good way of being like, okay, this is working. What I'm doing is working. And it validates a lot of the hard work that you've put in as well. And being so lucky to get on the team like you and I have here, it's been an awesome experience. I mean, the entire staff is awesome. It's not like a normal like workplace environment where you're kind of scared to talk to staff. If anything,
right.
like you're always down to talk to staff because it's like they're your buddies as well.
They are. They're good friends too. Yeah. I think we're pretty much good friends with everybody on the staff, if not all the creators and the staff together.
Yeah, exactly. And the content team as well. We've had some really cool moments with the content team, and we're starting to get a little bit better as far as like interacting with each other more as well. But I mean, our schedules are pretty busy as well.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride. I guess that's the biggest thing. But so it's kind of moving forward a little bit as well, just kind of talking more about you and some of your favorite things as well. Obviously, we talked about gaming being one of your biggest hobbies as well. If anybody is watching the video version, it can see all the pins in the background. It looks like pins are another hobby as well. So I guess, where did that hobby begin? And then what are maybe some of your favorite pins that you gotten, or maybe some wild stories about them as well?
So, funny enough, it started when my fiance and I, we started getting these loot crates. So if you guys don't know what those are, it's basically like a monthly subscription where you pay like $30, $40 and they send you like a bunch of stuff with like clothes or like, memorabilia or some like stuff like, for anime or, movies, whatever you enjoy. So we started doing anime crates. So we started getting like really cool stuff and then gaming crates. And we noticed that they started sending us like pins, and some of them were like, pretty standard ones. Like they just say loot crate on them, or they had like one that my fiance got. It was like from I forget what movie it was, but it was like a little like toxic waste bin that like fell over and broke and had like toxic spilled everywhere. So she's like, oh, that's really cool. And then we started like collecting them, and we're like, we don't know where to put them. So we bought like cork boards for each other. So we started putting them on our cork boards, and I started getting some really cool ones. We got some, some from like cartoons, some of like, Courage the Cowardly Dog was one of my favorite ones that I got. She got some from like Adventure Time that were really cool. So we just started like sharing pins with each other, and I'm like, pins are actually kind of cool looking because someone actually took the time to make these, And then shortly after, we went to an anime convention, and we never really like shopped like in the back area, like by the artist gallery, which they have like pins and like artwork stuff like that. Yeah. So we never really went there. We went more towards like the hoodies, t-shirts, like plushie kind of section, because that's what we were into back then. So then we were like, hey, like maybe they have some cool pins we could check out to fill up our board. Man, when I tell you, when we hit the artist gallery, oh my lord, my wallet went empty so fast. Like, I mean, like so fast. And we spent like 4 hours the first time we started pin collecting, like going to each booth, and we're like, do you have this pin in stock? Like half the ones that we wanted were like out of stock. Like, well, you can go on our Etsy and buy them there. We're like, give us your card. Let's go. We started like just grabbing cards everywhere, pins everywhere. And we just started like, putting them on our board and stuff like that. And then we started like traveling. We went to Disney, Tennessee, what I mean, all this stuff. And we found places that actually sell pins, like in certain locations. So we started grabbing pins from here and there. And then so we have like sections where like these are the pins from like convention, these are pins from when we traveled, and it just blew up, man. We just started. I mean, as you can see, we've been collecting pins. I think this is like our 5th year now collecting pins. We have over like 200 pins put together. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think this last convention we went to, the anime convention that we went to, like when we first started collecting pins at, we collectively, with the amount of pins we bought, we probably spent like $600 in pins.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like it was bad. Like I went there with like a boatload of money. I'm like, all right, I'm only gonna buy a few pins. 3 hours later, I'm broke. I don't have money for ramen. What do I do?
What happened?
What happened? But
I can't get ramen now.
Spare change, please.
Alms for the poor. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been fun collecting them.
And then obviously anyone that has kind of been a viewer for a while as well knows you love Pops. And then the big one, the elephant in the room there, anime. Obviously, I know you and we talked about anime quite a lot as well. I know your Discord talks about anime all the time. So I guess where did you get your start in anime? Kind of like what first year? I guess what was the first series you ever watched? What got you hooked? And then afterwards, I want to hear your top 10 and in order.
In order.
I want, or we'll cut it to top 5 just for time's sake. But I want to hear in order what your top 5 is after the first question.
Okay. So I didn't really know what anime was. I never really got into it. Like for me, a cartoon was a cartoon. I didn't think of it like if I see like SpongeBob, that's a cartoon. If I see Naruto, to me, that's it's just cartoons. Like I never saw the differentiation between the two. So I remember, and I'm sure you remember too, like Toonami, like Cartoon Network, like that's where I first heard about Naruto. So I was like, okay, like let me see what they're about, you know what I mean? And obviously if you ever watch Naruto, the first like 10-15 episodes of season 1 are like so slow and drag, so I did not find any interest in it whatsoever. I was like, okay, like whatever, this show's gonna take forever, I don't care, But then a buddy of mine who was really big in anime, he showed me, which is definitely one of my top 5, he showed me Trigun. Loved, from the very first episode, I loved it. It had comedy, it had great art style, it had a lot of action too, so I'm like, my 3 criteria. And it hit it all in the first 6 minutes of the show. I'm like, all right, let me go on with this. Ever since then, he was like, yeah, watch this one next. And he just started giving me different animes to watch. And I want to say I've been watching anime since I was like 14, 15, and I've been watching it for almost 15 years. And I will never stop watching it because the storylines for a lot of shows are just amazing. Like, amazing. In terms of my top 5 , though.
Write this down, Chad.
All right, so definitely Trigun. Trigun is my top anime. I will always watch it. I watch it at least once every year. I'll watch it. Cowboy Bebop, phenomenal. One of my favorites. I know I'm gonna get so much flack for it, but My Hero Academia is very, very good too.
Yes, it is. I'll stand on the hill with you.
Right now, I am like super stuck on Assassination Classroom.
Okay.
Super good. I'm almost like halfway done with season 2. It's so good. And the 5th one's kind of in between, and I know I'm gonna get flack for this one too. Is Food Wars?
Okay.
Yes, I know. Between Food Wars or Fire Force.
Okay.
They're both very good. If you want a lot more action and kind of more like dark kind of not history, but like dark humor, but like very, very like good storyline, Fire Force all the way. It's phenomenal. But if you're the kind of person that wants if you enjoy, delicious food, but also with a very eroticized kind of anime, watch Food Wars, but watch it with headphones. And I warn you all, watch it with headphones for a reason. If you don't know why, you'll find out the first 10 minutes of episode 1.
Put it on the family Bluetooth speaker down in the kitchen and blast it at full force. No.
You won't do it.
I can feel the heat coming from the comments right now. So no Attack on Titan, no Naruto, no Dragon Balls on there. Oh, I can feel it.
Here's my thing. like Naruto, one of my favorites, of course. But for me, like even I know the One Piece fans are probably losing their minds too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no offense, One Piece is great. Again, great. But when it takes 7 episodes to get to the next portion of the show, no. Dragon Ball Z, you guys learned. Okay, Dragon Ball Z Super, you guys did great. Okay, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I don't have a decade to try to catch up on One Piece. It's just in sync. And they're still going. Man. And did you hear recently? Did you hear recently the creator was like, "Oh, all of it up to this point has been filler," and everyone's like, "What?"
Bro, I almost lost it. Yeah. I was like, "There's no way this show has been going like that show probably has been going longer than MASH." Which, if you guys know what MASH is, yes, like, yes.
As being a medic, yeah,
you probably know that more than anybody else.
Man. Oh man, if I had to put top 5, and this is probably just because I haven't watched a ton of it out there as well. Everyone
in the comments, get ready, comment section.
Right. And I'm gonna forget some. Soul Eater has to be up there as one of them. Yeah, Soul Eater's such a good one, except for the ending. And the very final episode, I was so mad. Like the whole series up to that last episode, and then you're like, "What?"
Yup. We were all there. Trust me.
So mad. What's another good one? Just because of the impact that it had on my life, I have to put Yu-Gi-Oh up there.
Ooh,
I'm a very big shonen anime lover.
I respect that, man.
I can't remember the name. 7 Deadly Sins is probably another one. My Hero Academia I've got to put up there as well. And then I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, just because it's been a few years since I've seen it. I need to go back and watch it again just because I love it so much. But I remember it was like Ryoku and it was like the clothes had threads that had like power. Oh, what is it called? I can't remember. Do you remember?
It's not Yu Yu Hakusho.
No, it's not Yu Yu Hakusho. No. But remember, like the clothes had like it had thread that had power. Like there was 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star like uniforms you could wear that gave you power. And then it was like nudist beach and stuff. I can't remember the name.
Dude, the people in the comments are screaming.
Yeah, I know. That one, I'll have to go back. Yeah, I gotta go. And then probably Akame no Kill is another one of my favorites as well. Just really, really good series all in together. But Soul Eater's where I got my start. Besides Yu-Gi-Oh, because growing up, I was like, oh, it's a cartoon. Yeah, I'm sorry, by the way, for my past self thinking it was a cartoon. I hear the elitist now.
Uncultured swine.
Yeah, what are you talking about, you? Oh God. Oh my goodness. But that's where I probably got, or that's where I got my start, and that's where I found my love for it. I mean, me as diehard as some people that watch it like every day, all day, nonstop, that will know that anime by heart.
Like, done.
Yep, and they're gonna tell me, and that's fine. I'm ready for the heat. You can tell me in the comments, please. I need to, because now I want to go watch it again.
Roast them, Chad. Do what you want.
Oh my goodness. There was something I can't remember. I didn't write it down. It was something that I had thought about as we were kind of talking as well. We talked about anime, we talked about gaming, charity, and all that stuff as well. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot about this. Obviously, Chef Kyle, one of the biggest things in your entire quote unquote persona, I should say, Chef Kyle. So A, where did Chef Kyle come from? And then B, we'll do that first. Where did Chef Kyle come from?
So, Chef Kyle was something that I came up with because I would always talk about food on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I'd have like, oh, what'd you guys eat for dinner tonight? And I would be like, oh, I made this, or I had this tonight. I had this. Like, people would always ask, like, yo, who makes your food in your household? And me just being goofy, I was like, oh, I have a personal chef that makes it. And they're like, what's his name? And I'm like, Kyle. Why I said Kyle, I will never understand why, but that was the first thing that came up to my mind. And I was like, oh yeah, Chef Kyle. And they're like, Chef Kyle. That was it. After I said those 2 words, it blew up. I don't know why.
Because I think a lot of communities that kind of grow pretty quickly, they get kind of that mascot that everyone can get behind. If you look at Tim the Tatman, and Kevin.
Yeah.
What are some other ones, man? If you think of Dr. Disrespect, either what I can't remember the guy's name. Not Kevin.
That he calls, yeah.
Was Alex? Yeah, Alex.
Alex,
The
yep.
random guy, or
Yeah, he just calls on his phone like, Alex, yeah, you got that? All right, cool, thanks.
yeah, it's somebody that the community can like, this fictional character that can get behind.
Yup.
They love centering all that love and support around this fictional character. So I think that kind of has to do with it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then we even got to see, quote unquote, Chef Kyle for the Halloween episode that you did last season, or last season. Last
That was
last
that
year
was
as
a
well.
dark day that day. I don't remember much of that day.
Oh man, and the community loves kind of the amount of effort that you put into the streams and stuff like that. Dressing up as was it No Face?
Ghostface? Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, Ghostface, not Noseface. Yeah, I'm thinking of back to anime. I'm thinking of No Face.
Now you're thinking of anime now, my guy.
Sorry, Ghostface. You've dressed up a couple times as well. It hasn't been just Ghostface. I can't remember the other one off the top of my head.
I did do Guy Fieri.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I played with you that night. That's right.
You did?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Or, excuse me, I played with Guy. That's right.
We brought the smack down to Flavor Town, baby.
So what are some of the motivations for those, by the way? Like, do you just kind of do you see clothes out in public and you're like, oh my God, yes, let's do that?
So for me, it's like, if I'm just like scrolling through the internet, or if I'm like, like you said, shopping, like I'll be like walking around, it's like, I wonder. Like that's the first thing I was like, I wonder, can I make that into something funny? Can I make that something interesting? Can I make that to something that people will actually enjoy watching? I'll make it happen. But my favorite thing to do is, I've been a fan of Halloween, as you could tell. I'm a big Halloween, you know what I mean? I've been a fan of Halloween since I was a kid, man. I love dressing up, you know what I mean? I loved just the idea of like the horror and the darkness like that it entails, that the creepiness of it. It fascinated me because the way I see it, it's like, as creators, we always have to think of something to kind of like bring to the world, like bring our thoughts into the world in a creative way. I mean, people that created like horror movies, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all this stuff like this. Somebody had to think of that, and like, who thinks of that kind of stuff? Like, why did they think of that specific, character or creature that they created? Like, what made them think of that? And I think the creativity aspect is what really stuck to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what I try to do. Is like I try to like take that creative side of Halloween and make it funny or interesting. So I'll put my own spin on like Ghostface. I'll put my own spin on whatever character. Like if this year I do have a couple of plans, and I think you have an idea what I'm talking about. But we do have some plans for Halloween this year if you guys are interested in checking it out. But I do have a few costumes, not just one, not two, but maybe 3 or 4 costumes this year that I might be showing off. So
oh my,
and it's just stuff. Just again, it's more just for comedic relief to see like a very scary creature or character be funny. To me, that's hysterical. Because I think of like, you remember Scary Movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think of when I think of like horror and comedy.
Gotcha.
So that's what I try to bring out.
I got you. All right, I think we had a good handle on some of the things that we may have seen throughout the stream and stuff. But honestly, knowing you on a personal level, as far as like a lot of the people don't really kind of know what makes you out whenever you put down the headset and you click stop streaming and everything like that. What are some hobbies that maybe you like to do? What do you do like enjoy life outside of the streaming space and gaming?
For me personally, man, I love cars. I'm a big car guy. So I'll either jump in my car and just go for I'll waste half a tank of gas just to drive around my neck of the woods back and forth. Like I'll go out of my way. Like if there's like, I'm not a big Starbucks person, but like or boba. I'll say boba for example. I love boba. There's one place that serves it 10 minutes from my house. I'll drive an extra 30-40 minutes out of my own way to go to another place just because I want to drive.
Gotcha.
So for me, that's my biggest thing. It's my biggest release besides video games and streaming. It's like my biggest release in life. So it gives me time to just kind of like be me, think about myself and just kind of just think about life in general. So I'll definitely do that while blasting ridiculously heavy metal music in the background. So those are my 2 personal vices, man. I love metal music and I love cars. So any chance I get to do both at the same time, I will take every opportunity to do it. So that's what I like to do.
I really hope that you have had a moment where you've been like blasting heavy metal, get to a stoplight, and someone like turn and look at you, and it switches to like anime. And be like,
So here's a funny story about that.
Yes.
Funny enough, something like that has happened. I was driving and my car has like little like peeker stickers of like anime characters that I love, and my back windows are covered in them. And so I'm pulling up to a red light, and there's a woman in a minivan. You know, it's like one of those minivans where the back windows can actually like roll down. So it was like 80 something degrees. It was a nice warm day, and what was I listening to? I think I must have been listening to As of Late Dying. It like very heavy metal band. So I pull up to the light. I'm sitting, I'm just jamming, and this lady like looks at me in like pure disgust. She's got like a cross hanging from her mirror. I was like, I'm like, oh, this person's not gonna be happy with me. And she's just like, I can feel her stare, like in like on the side of my head. I feel her eyes like burning into my head. I'm like, this is gonna be awkward. And I like kind of like look over a little bit, and I see the kids in the back see like,
yeah,
they're rocking out, and she's like, no, don't listen to that. And she rolls their windows up and takes off. I'm dying of laughter. I'm crying. I'm laughing. A person behind me saw what happened, is laughing with me. I was like, oh no, I ruined that mother's children, but I just helped her raise two amazing kids though.
Oh my goodness. I wish I was there.
It was the best day of my life, dude. I couldn't stop laughing the whole day.
My goodness. All right. And I guess probably kind of to find some like stopping point as well is to ask you probably another question you've been blue in the face over and over again. And probably the number one question streamers get asked when they have kind of a different persona or name in the gaming space. Where did Mazards come from? How did you come up with Mazards? And why did you decide to go with that?
So, okay. I have tried the most random names before. You know, I tried doing, because everyone that knows me as Ozzy, like Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy Guillen. So I was gonna like, you know, like my biggest inspirations were like Dr. Lupo. So I was thinking like doing like Doc Oz, Dr. Oz, something like that, like something along those lines. But I'm like, I didn't really want to copy like Dr. Disrespect or Dr. Lupo. I didn't want to copy them. So I'm like, nah, I gotta do something that's like me, like nothing like, you know, a name that doesn't require like underscores or anything like that. Like I just wanted like a name, you know. So I've always loved my name. I was named after my grandfather, an amazing human being. Unfortunately, no longer with us, but I've always looked up to him, and I wanted to like maybe use our name in remembrance of him. So I found a site. It was like a word generator, so you could put like different like words and names, and it'll generate something for you. So I'm scrolling through, and I typed in my full name, and I got to the O's. I made it to the O's, and it was O, Mazards, and then a D at the end. And I was like, I don't like the way that looks. I'm like, OD, remove that. I'm like, all right, let's try that again. I'm like, Mazards. Like, why does that sound like a name that I think people, once they hear it, they won't forget it.
Yep.
I'm like, you know what? Just to see what happens. I will take that name for a bit and I'll plug it into like my Call of Duty name, you know, my Overwatch name. I'll just replace all the names I had with just that name and see what happens. Sure enough, I went live, started playing some games, and when people were calling out my name, like they didn't have to like think about it. Once they saw it, they knew my name right away.
Right.
So I'm like, oh hey, Maz. Like, okay. I'm like, Maz. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I like this. But it wasn't like other names where it's like, you know, like Hoopa Doop 47, you know, blaze it. Like you're not gonna remember that ever again in your life. You know what I mean? But it was a name that I really enjoyed because again, it's near and dear to me, to my grandfather, and it was a name that was just very simple, you know, very, very few syllables. People can remember it, and it just stuck. And every time I went live, people just knew the name right away. So I'm like, you know what? That's the name it's gonna be. I'm gonna stick with it and see how it goes. And like I said, almost 3 years in, man, and people still remember the name as. So I had to stick with it.
I got you. What's your follower count now? Like almost 2,000, or is it?
Follower count? We are at 2307.
No, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Oh,
yeah, 3 years,
man. We did all right.
3 years and that kind of success is amazing, man. Not to mention, like I said, charity work that we've talked about and everything like that. You've had a really strong 3 years, nothing to be sad about. So congratulations, man. We appreciate all you do for the community. But I think that's going to kind of wrap it up for us here. Where can people find you for those that are listening if they want to kind of come check out your content and hear that beautiful voice or actually see that beautiful face if they're not watching the YouTube video?
Then we are on Twitch. We are also on TikTok and YouTube. Mazards, Mazards, on all platforms, even on Twitter. We are everywhere on all social medias. Feel free to come check me out. I do stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays for the time being until after I get married, which will be in September. Then we'll be going back to our regular weekly schedule program, which is Monday through Thursdays, 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Central.
Gotcha. Maz, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today for this episode. I look forward to gaming with you here in the future and everything like that. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been it for us here for another episode of the Valkyrie podcast. I'm going to call it Listening In with the Legion, but I don't know if Zach's going to be okay with that. We'll see. But that's another episode for us. I've been your host, Angel of Battle 07. Make sure you guys go check out our partners over at Gamer Subs to get you guys that Kaho's and Kaho's Guilty Pleasure, as well as check out the Waifu Cups and all the merch that they have as well. I know you and I recently just picked up some sleeves, some gaming sleeves as well. I've seen you've been wearing them. By the way, some gaming sleeves.
I also got my other one that I got in the mail.
Yeah. But make sure you guys go check out all of their merch as well. And we will see each and every single one of you in the next one. Thank you very much.